What do you guys have?
A yam.
Where'd you get it?
Right there. Under the mango tree.
How much does it weigh?
29 pounds.
And what'd you do with the hull?
We made a pond out of it.
Yeah, that's not bad. I'm gonna make a little bed right here, but I should probably plant ginger first. I have some ginger that I saved from a while ago. It's looking a little dry, but I think it's going to live. So I have these little beds here which get about half a day's worth of shade. And so that is about right for ginger. Ginger doesn't really seem to like the full sun that much, and I don't want to plant them too close. I want them to make big clumps. So I'm sticking nice pieces in here, about 3 to 4 inches deep, and burying them over. Ginger has a dormancy cycle, so you have to keep that in mind. This ginger, you could plant it in January and it might just say, I don't want to wake up. And it won't wake up. And it'll show up when the soil warms up, sometime around April or even May, when you plant it out. But it's like it's got a little timer inside of it. Now this one here, I could probably get 2 pieces out of it, but I'm looking for good eyes. And the only good eyes I'm really seeing here, these might grow, but that looks good right there and there, a little green. Looks healthy. So I'm just gonna plant this entire thing and let it grow. I don't need to stretch them that far. I mean, I really don't need huge, massive amounts of ginger. I just wanted to grow some, a little bit to use and to sell. And I actually have plenty, because as you can see here, this was my remaining bit of ginger that I got. And then I got some more ginger from the store. So this store ginger, there's plenty of ginger here. Look at all that. That's a lot of ginger. And if you have it and you want to stretch it, you know, you can break this into quite a few pieces. When you do, I like to stick a little ashes on them. Got a bucket of ashes right here. Put ashes on any cut because it'll help keep it from fungal diseases and being an infection point. So that bed's done. Get a few pieces in there. Do my next little bed. That's easy. Put them to sleep. My coffee seedling in the middle here. Look at that, we're doing permaculture. We're intercropping stuff. We're even mixing varieties of ginger. Whew. And that bed's planted. I don't want to overplant. I don't want tons in these little beds because I'm afraid of them crowding up on each other. But I'm going to do a test with this next bed since I have so much ginger. I'm going to plant it tight, and then when we harvest, we'll see how they do. It'll be interesting. That's how we learn. Learn the spacing of ginger. I'm sure some farmers worked it out already. They don't have the same soil as me, the same rainfall as me, or anything else. So this one I'm going to plant more like I would be planting cabbages or something. You see this ground here has a lot of ashes in it. It's got some biochar in it. It's got a lot of organic matter. Ginger doesn't like wet ground. And this is definitely not wet ground over here. So these guys, you see I'm planting them close. It's been raining off and on all day today, and it's still dry underneath the ground here. Kind of interesting. This is kind of weak looking stuff here. Some of this. The stuff I just got from the store looks better than what I saved. Stick 2 pieces over here. Why not? 2 little pieces. That's the same as 1 big piece. I wrote an article a while ago for Heirloom Gardener magazine, which is published by Mother Earth News, on how to grow ginger. And it was very interesting when I was doing research for that to find out how far north you can actually grow ginger. I don't know if you know this, but people are growing ginger like up in New England states as a annual. Down here it's perennial. Like if I don't harvest it, it'll just keep coming back again and again and again and again. But they're actually growing it long enough to be able to produce a crop of ginger. So now I have 3 beds of ginger. Should I plant 1 more? Good question. Do I need that much ginger? No, I don't really. I would be better served by planting this with something else, except that ginger is a valuable cash crop. But it's not a very good staple. And Corona-chan is going to kill us all if we don't have good staples. So, I'll stop. Maybe I'll just plant a little of it with ginger. No, I'll stop. I'll stick the rest of it around the trees in my food forest. There's an idea. That's permaculture right there. Speaking of that, you guys want to see the corn? Alright, I'll take you to see the corn. Looks pretty good. So the corn is looking pretty good. We had some gaps in the planting, but this area is pretty solid. Whoop, I missed one. So what I did was I came out here with the grape hoe, and then I cleared a nice little circle around each set of corn. And I could see some of them, I didn't have the peas come up. Some of them had just peas and no corn, and some of them had everything I wanted. So, yeah, there you go. You know, sometimes it's the pests that go through and eat them. Sometimes it's the seed. In this case, I think it was probably a combination of pests and the fact that I had kids helping me plant, and we kind of, some things probably got buried a little bit too deeply or maybe skipped. But I have enough here in this stand, just right here, to pollinate quite well. So this goes up another 20 feet, and then there's some gaps here, but it kind of comes down here. You can see I've got a few here, a few here. There's a June plum tree, and then these are really happy. This soil down here near the bottom is really, really good. I don't know why. Probably things just eroded downhill that way. But there should have been some corn in here, like right there. That's supposed to be corn right there, and there's nothing. There should have probably been another one in here too. And there's some more over here. There should have been one in the middle of there. Kind of got some skips, but yeah, there you go. That's partly why I'm doing this experiment with, can I just hack a little hill and put a few corn plants by themselves and see how it goes? But I have quite a bit more food forest that I can plant too. And these areas here, like if I go in and I plant multiple more pits, if I plant 4 or 5 more little corn stations in that area, they're going to do fine. And the important part right now is to keep the brush and the weeds and everything from coming back in around them. When you get them cleared like this, This makes it really easy if you do this with a hoe. It makes it really, really easy to come out here later if this grass starts to get taller and then whack it all down with a string trimmer. You can do that really quickly, but it's hard if you let the weeds get away. If the weeds start to get away and they get taller than the corn, you lose the corn, that's no good. People step on it, or you'll accidentally hit it with a string trimmer. It's important to know where your corn actually is, because the grass looks like corn as well. So any of this grass here could easily be corn, especially when it gets taller. Like if you saw this one right here, this piece of grass standing up, it's like, hey, that's corn, isn't it? No, that's not corn. It's not in one of your stations. So, you know, you get these big clearings around it, kind of do the crop circle thing. Then, you know, then it's really easy to butcher down the stuff in between. I really like this method. So you plant the corn, pigeon peas at the same time. The corn comes in first, and then you harvest the corn, you cut the corn stalks down, and by that point, the pigeon peas are getting about this big. So when you cut the corn stalks down, then the pigeon peas really take off, and they'll fill in. So you'll get a harvest of them some months after the corn. And they'll fix nitrogen, and they'll build up the food forest soil and all that good stuff. So it's really a useful thing to do in the food forest. If I've got all this space in between trees right now, why not use it to get a good crop of grain corn, followed by a crop of pigeon peas, and I'm building soil fertility at the same time. And then eventually the pigeon peas can live for a couple of years, and I can use them as a chop and drop even if I'm not actively harvesting the peas. And then, you know, they suppress the other weeds that would be in between the fruit trees, and then when I chop the tops of them off, I'm giving the fruit trees nitrogen. So it's a really good, you know, it's a really good combination. Plus I'm putting in actively now other nitrogen fixers like this ice cream bean. You know, these are long-term nitrogen fixers. The pigeon peas are a 2 to 3 year nitrogen fixer. So yeah, bit by bit, that's the way we do it. And we get some corn while we still have sunshine before the canopy starts to close. So this is the very back corner of the homestead right now, and the kids spent a chunk of yesterday clearing it up. And so right here, these are the hills with the papaya that we planted, and these were a really nice big red papaya, and then I had a nice big orange papaya, so I planted some of each. And the kids managed to not crush most of them. Some of them succumbed, but for the most part, the kids did a good job clearing around them and not doing it. So this area is kind of rough right now. It's got a lot of rocks in the ground. Everywhere there are rocks. So got to get the broad fork out here and fork it all up and clean it and make beds out of it. But it goes back here. This is the big mango tree that I pruned. So it's kind of this like nice little table plateau area, and it seemed like a total waste not to farm it. But see all these rocks? The kids pulled these rocks out so far, mostly from this area. So this is actually, there's an intense amount of rocks. And that's pretty crazy. I like the rock walls, they're cool, but man alive, it's been a lot of rocks. So we're just gonna build beds, and then we'll keep these papaya in here, and we'll keep pulling lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of rocks. I mean, this, like, no matter where I put my machete, I'm pulling rocks. But that's what we do. We prepare the soil, and then we plant. It's going to be beautiful. And I mean, why not use it? There's a good 25 feet by 20 feet, something like that, that we can press into production. Just makes sense. And it keeps these vines and stuff further back from coming into the garden beds too, because they run so fast. Every place that you haven't cultivated becomes a place that things invade from and take over. So the more we can kind of keep it back, the better. And then you'll see this Malay apple right here, almost on my property line, and this cinnamon tree is on the property line. So I kind of keep those under control and keep them from working their way in. And then I kind of got this nice property line thing going on here from the cinnamon, the Malay apple, the star apple, and then I have 3 mangoes in a row right behind these 3 or 4 yucca right there, cassava, and then of course the tomato test beds. So this, where I'm standing, is the end of the line. That's the end of my property. So ideally, I keep a bare strip right here, which keeps the weeds from coming back in. And it's cultivated a couple of feet with my hedge trees on the edge of it. And then I can come back into the beds, but leave enough space that we can walk around, roll a wheelbarrow through, etc. These cassava that are right here, these were not in the, they're not in the best spot anymore, but we're gonna harvest them first and then let them go. And I've been doing some experiments too with corn. You guys might see this right here. These 3 corn. I'm doing something where I'm putting them in hills by themselves and just sticking 3 or 4 in a hill and then seeing how the pollination works. Like, can I just take an empty spot when I have a moment, hack a hole, stick like 3 corn plants in it, and will they pollinate each other? We'll find out. Do I need a big stand, or will this be enough? We'll see. They look happy so far. So as you can see, been busy. These are yam banks here for planting yams. And I have stretched paracord across, hammered some rebar deep into the ground, and then the yams are not going to come up for a couple of months. So what I did was I planted Kentucky pole beans in here for now, which is my catch crop in between. And I placed them wide, and then when they come up, I'm going to put strings down to them from these pieces of paracord. And this is what remained of the big pile of debris and rocks and logs and dirt and everything from when they flattened this ground out. So I've actually got some really nice banks here. And when you plant your yams in nice, loose, tall soil, this is all really good loose stuff and it's not getting walked on. It makes much bigger, happier roots. And I've already pulled a lot of yams out of the ground from back here in the shady area. So I know that they're going to grow very happily in the shade. They'll just get up a little bit of climbing, and they'll be climbing on these instead of climbing on trees, because I can actually keep the weeds and the other vines and stuff down, because this is the tropics. As soon as you put anything that vines can climb on, some awful, horrible vine will come and just totally grab it and take over. I've actually cut vines hanging in trees and had them remake roots reaching down to the ground again. So I don't want that to happen. So what I did was made these nice banks, and they're nice and weedable and controllable. They're really pretty. They got a lot of ashes and biochar and a lot of compost in them. They're gonna be able to grow yams beautifully. And of course, since the beans will be coming in, let's see, 60 days from now, about the time we plant yams, we should be starting to get beans. The beans should be leaving a little bit of nitrogen behind when we pull them. So the yams are gonna be coming up as the beans are going down. That's the goal. We'll see how it works out. It's always an experiment when you're farming. Here's something else I wanted to show you guys. This is popcorn, and a couple of my boys decided they wanted to plant some popcorn. I bought them some popcorn from the store, and I said, hey, why don't you try and plant this and see if it comes up? And sure enough, popcorn came up. So they've planted little holes of popcorn here and there around our drainage gray water trench, and they're growing their own popcorn. That's a cool thing. If you've got kids and you've got some popcorn, have them plant the popcorn. It actually grows quite easily usually, and it produces pretty fast. Usually on short little plants. It's not very high demand. You almost always get some popcorn out of it. Check it out. My ackee tree is now officially taller than me. It's grown 1.5 feet in the last week, and it started at about here when I put it in, I don't know, 8-9 months ago, something like that, and it has now officially doubled in size, and it's taller than me. So apparently, I mean, this is a seedling. Apparently ackee can produce in just a few years, so we'll see how it did. Somebody told me they had ackee in 3 years because their tree was happy. This tree is definitely happy, so yeah, hopefully 3 years, that sounds pretty good. Maybe 1 or 2 years. Keep growing. You can do it. I've been saying encouraging words to this tree. I'm not saying anything bad at all. I'm just like restraining my negativity around this tree, so the tree just knows, like I love you, tree. I love you. I know that you're really poisonous. I know that you would kill me if you had the chance, but I love you so much I don't even care. I forgive you. Good tree. Thanks for joining me. I guess you guys are going to be a little bit after me on the spring probably, but this is getting to be the time for all of my Florida people and getting to be the time for you Georgia people too, for your cool season vegetables. So you may not be planting corn and pigeon peas and that sort of stuff yet, but I hope that you're getting a good start on your cool season stuff. If you live a little further north, it's a good time to get into your transplants. Start making those transplants, so as soon as you hit that, you know, getting close to your last frost date, it's time to go. So good luck with all of that. Good luck preparing, and thanks for joining me. Be sure to check out my website too, thesurvivalgardener.com, where I have survival plant profiles and a lot on how to grow a lot of different things. So if you look in the resources section, you'll find the survival plant profiles on a lot of different plants and how useful they are on the spudometer. I rank everything on a spudometer, like how many potatoes is it? Because potatoes are pretty much the ultimate survival crop. So how many potatoes is this plant worth? 2.5? All right, I might consider it. So check it out, thesurvivalgardener.com, and be sure to like and subscribe and all that cool stuff. And until next time, may your thumbs always be green.
Okay, don't trip over the hoe.
21 YouTube videos that ended very badly. There we go. I actually finished it before it got dark. This is my Spider-Man pose, by the way. Oh, this is awesome. So, I just had to figure out something that's gonna go in this tiny little itty bitty bed. I just like it. It kind of felt like it needed to be there. Like there's this little weird flow going on between the yam beds and these big rock beds. There. It's beautiful. It's almost like a mom, like with her arms, cradling a little plant.